Now, the Estrogen Network presents Afternoon Yak.
Man.
Hello, folks. This is just an off-the-cuff talkie. We're going to do a talkie, that's right. And it's something I want to talk about. But I thought just now, I'm going to start it with something seemingly unrelated. And that is, well, who's ever heard of the term value perception? It's a common thing used in marketing, you know. And to give you an example of value perception in our world, let's take this guitar right here. This is a Yamaha C40 nylon string acoustic guitar. These guitars are in like every primary school in the country, and they're in cupboards all over the world. You can still buy them. I think they're like $170 Australian, like new, which is really good if you're in Australia. This particular one here would be more than 25 years old. So technically, this instrument is a vintage instrument. Now, it's pretty beaten up, and it really doesn't have any value. If you were to take it into a shop, like a pawn shop, and try to sell it or something, it wouldn't give you anything for it. It wouldn't be worth buying and wouldn't be worth the trouble. You could like put it on, advertise it yourself for $10 on Facebook Marketplace or something. But see, like the intonation's a bit out on it. You know, you get $10 for it on Facebook Marketplace. It's worth nothing. It's basically a piece of wood and it's crap. However, if you took it to the pawn shop as it is like that, this cheap nothing guitar, and it just so happens that, like, you know, whoever name you want to use, let's say, like, I just thought of that then, Eddie Van Halen, since I was saying it's like 25 plus years old. Let's say, like, you met Eddie Van Halen in a car park in, 1981 in a 7-Eleven car park, and he played this guitar for 15 seconds and then handed it back to you, and someone took a photo so that you can see him playing the guitar, and then that photograph has then been verified and authenticated along with the guitar to authenticate that, yes, that is definitely the guitar and that is definitely Eddie Van Halen playing it. Now, remember, what we started with was just some like run-of-the-mill entry-level education nothing guitar worth $10 and really probably worth nothing because you wouldn't even sell it. The only value that this guitar really has is the value that I assign to it. And if it's been, in this case, it's been with me a long time, so it's sort of, it almost has like some kind of intrinsic value to me. I don't care that it's a cheap instrument. So you take it into the pawn shop and it's got all those things with it now. The same thing, all authenticated and stamped and booked and framed and signed off. and the little story about it being in the car park and whatever. Suddenly, just like that, this same thing has value. And who knows how much value? Maybe it's kind of significant. Someone might pay like $5,000 for it or $2,000. And you're like, well, hang on, I thought it was $10. Why is it good now? And of course, all it is that the person's perception of its value has changed. The thing itself hasn't changed at all. Exactly, it's just a thing. It remains the same. And I kind of chimed in on this comment because everyone, people are talking about it and talking about AI and AI in music and all this kind of thing. And people are talking about, these ideas that AI can't replace real human emotion and it's not going to be able to do this and do that. And people talking about like, oh, it's coming. And it's like, well, if we're talking about it, it's here. It's not coming. It's already here. And people are already using it. And what I said about it, which I think, is that, people are talking about this idea of fake music. Like somehow AI is fake music and therefore, it's not human. And I'll say, but hang on, you've been listening to like digital music pretty much since the year 2000. And if you didn't know that, $1999, Ricky Martin had a hit song with Livin' La Vida Loca. The whole Latin pop thing. And that was the first number one, like worldwide smash hit number one to be created entirely using digital in the box. So at that point, obviously, that proved it, that you could do it, and that there wasn't going to be any pushback from the consumer. Like, oh, this isn't real and this is fake or something. No, the consumer loved it. The consumer made no difference. And so really, in a way, even though there's like a lead up and there's a transition period, I say that, the year 2000 is really kind of like the line in the sand where that tune, as an example, is where the analog world of recording and music production had kind of finally been left behind, and we're moving into the digital world. And the point I've made about music in this discussion about like the virtues of art and music and all of that, is that music, in a world that is an economy and a market, is just a product. And to the business mind, the product doesn't matter. All that is a model. So it may as well be baby nappies. It could be medical equipment. No one cares. Does it make profit? How much is it? How hard is it to produce? Can I make money out of it? That's solely the motivation. And of course it'll be sold as, oh no, we want to do this and do that, and it's all got this sentimental kind of message behind it, or whichever. And this has been happening in music for ages. You know, this formulaic approach to trying to just get ears and get attention and everything else. And I use this example, I like to use my food examples. I use this example of, if you look at a company like McDonald's, where they're often cited as a benchmark for success in business, where if you look at McDonald's, when they started out, what they sold was a product that was reasonable and that the ingredients were available to the general public. Like you could go and make McDonald's at home. But then as they grow and expand, and as they become more and more profit-driven and brand recognition-driven and all of these things, you can see that the product suffers. It just incrementally gets worse and worse and smaller, and to the point where now there are so many ingredients in that food that are basically just chemicals that you or I would not have access to, and you wouldn't be able to make it at home, and you would probably need a license of some kind to be able to access the ingredients. So it's totally detached from people and what people can achieve, you know. But it's funny how with food we seem to be able to understand the concept of putting this stuff in here that then gets processed through here. And if what goes in there is made of junk, then that can cause problems for what's in here. Yet for some reason we don't acknowledge this when it comes to other things like our eyes and what we're watching. And what about our ears and what's going into those? Music, the world we live in, the modern industrial world, technological industrial world, well, this is all new to humans, right? It's all new to our ocular system and our auditory system, and we're not used to seeing all these flashing lights and strobes and so we don't really know what that does to a human brain. And this has to be true of music. Music's always come for the most part, from an instrument through the air into our ears, which we've heard. Like if you were standing here in a room, you're hearing the sound of this thing vibrate the strings that then go through the air into your ears. And if you think about music historically, it was always made largely for intrinsic purposes and reasons. It wasn't made for money. There was no market. And even if you go back to composer days, they too were not like, often weren't like these well-recognized, amazingly rich people and whatever. They took commissions from aristocracies. It wasn't like everyone could just go out and do gigs and get paid for it, you know. And the purpose and the reason behind music was just had nothing to do with like a market that you were trying to tap to try and make money, to get recognition, to get famous, to get that, whatever that is, right? And it ends up, for some people, sounding like a bit of a cynical perspective, I suppose. Because there's a huge, big pink elephant in the room all the time that's like a social taboo. Going back to the digital thing, well, what happened with that? All the same terminology. Like, oh, it's just a tool. And, you know, it's not going to replace human musicianship and true human emotion. It's just a tool, and it's just going to help us be more efficient and blah, blah, blah. It was the same rhetoric as, you know, when digital recording software was coming out. And where did that go? Well, it pretty quickly went to where all the music was pretty much just being made in the box. And you're using virtual instruments and drum machines and blah, blah, blah. And essentially what people would call fake music. Because you're not hearing actual real performances. Even if someone has, even if someone's played it, the recording situation with digital kind of got to the point where, like, say a drum part, well, the drummer could almost just be like someone who does data entry. He's just putting all the bits in there. It doesn't really matter if they don't perfectly line up or if the snare drum velocities aren't consistent, because all that's going to get sound replaced. And edited and nudged and turned into basically nothing like what the person played. So they're just entering the data in at that point. It's basically just a quicker way of programming, I suppose. Just like spit it all out and then go in and start editing it instead of having to like put each dot in one at a time, because that's what it's like. And people accepted that pretty happily, didn't they? I mean, that's what I'm saying. It pretty much became the standard. It's what everyone does. And then it becomes the sound. So then, once again, because people are driven by profit and market, they'll follow trends. It's how the loudness wars started, if you know about the loudness wars. You know, people want their track to be heard and they want it to stand out above the others, so they'd start compressing their tunes more and trying to get them louder and turn them up a bit. And to the point where you just had all this music is just like flat out all the time. You listen to a pop song and it doesn't matter if it's like a really quiet verse or a, you know, balls to the wall chorus, it's all just loud, you know. All the dynamic range is taken out of the music. And it's because this is popular. Oh, this just sold this many records, and this is what they did to do that. So now we're going to jump on board and try and do that. And all these conversations or these ideas that come up about like music and culture and like No one cares about that. Like, just, is it going to make any money? And then, another one that comes up about AI is that, it can't replace songwriting and like musicianship and songwriting. But once again, songwriting, well, the quality of the song is determined by its market success. And that's the way it will go. So if a song becomes really popular and it's number one that makes millions and millions of dollars, you can't go around and say that it's a shit song. There's millions of songs out there that are overlooked that are great songs because they're not going to sell. And that's what I'm saying. The analogy to the food is you end up with this war that's a market-driven competition where people want to lead and dominate and win and everything else. So if you look at food over the course of the life of the modern kind of industrial technological revolution, like the post-World War II, look at all the shit that's in it now. And all kinds of... Gotta try not to swear, And it's that, right? It's because they have no concern about whether or not the product is going to have a negative effect on people. Those companies, again, like McDonald's, well, they spend more money on food research than the FDA. They're constantly spending millions of dollars on like food and how it affects the brain, and then advertising. They know that the product is what it is. They will say that it's a product that you should have maybe once a week in conjunction with a balanced diet and a healthy lifestyle and blah, blah. So it's like a candy. But then they go about spending just amounts of money that people can't possibly compete with, trying to hijack people's brains and you've heard of the bliss point probably. The bliss point is, I think that guy actually used to work for Coca-Cola. Is essentially what they're doing is, it started with sodas, where they want to get the sodas as sweet as possible without crossing over the edge. So something's way too sweet, it's sickly. So they're trying to hold it right at that point where it's sort of sickly, but you want to have more. And then this goes and gets applied to all of these other elements in terms of like fat and salt and sugar. So things are made to be as salty as possible and as sweet as possible, and all of these things are maximized to try to sort of hijack your brain chemistry to get you to want more of it. And so these wars start, right? Because just like the loudness wars, well, if this becomes standard, that everyone's used to this amount of sugar and blah, 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 and someone just ups it a bit, and now people think that one's better, everyone's going to follow along. Why? Because they want to compete and they want profit, and they couldn't give two shits about people's health. You know, they don't care if the chemicals are damaging to people. If they're legal, if they can go through the legal paperwork and go, we're allowed to use them, that's all they give a shit about. And don't think they're not using this type of stuff in music, because, psychoacoustics and all of that stuff's been studied for a long time, the effects of certain sounds. Going back to the food thing quickly. Foods are designed deliberately to have certain textural qualities and certain audible qualities, like a sound. They want the chip to crunch and have a certain sound, right? And they spend a lot of money. Like, imagine working on something to that detail, on a chip. You know? Hey, would you like a chip? Oh, thank you. Well, it doesn't sound very good, you know? Oh, no thanks. Those are some of the shittest sounding chips I've ever had. Need to work on your sound, pal. You know, in combination with all these other things like we just touched on with salt and sugar. But it's just like... and then the advertising onslaught. So what do you think is going to happen with AI? And if you're wondering, like, what I said before about the elephant in the room, it's this thing that we can't talk about. We're not allowed to acknowledge humans as they really are. We as humans, we kind of live inside this fantasy of ourselves. But if you step back and look at it, that's not really how we are. And I made the point that all these virtues surrounding art and everything have already, or will just become totally performative, meaning that it's just something you say because it sounds good to move product. I don't think there'll be any authenticity behind it. Because we're really good at that as humans, where we kind of just fool ourselves, you know, about things. And that's why I've said in regard to AI, like, do I think people are going to use it? And yeah, absolutely they will. Because it will just become, when you're making music, basically for extrinsic reasons, right? Because you want notoriety and fame, or you want lots of money and a mansion, things, right? Things are things, they're not alive, they're dead. So if you think about it, like, you know, in a culture that kind of has a lust for like things, it's almost like a bit of a death cult, because they value something that isn't even alive. Its value, just like this guitar, this thing, is determined by me and what value I put upon it. Whereas something intrinsic, like if you have a daughter or a son or someone that you deeply love, a human being, an animal, something that can't be replaced and could never be replaced in any way, right? Like, of course, this guitar, this specific guitar can't be replaced. But I could, at the end of the day, it is just a guitar and a piece of wood, and I could move on and get another one, and it'd be okay. And I'd just remember it fondly, you know, wouldn't make a huge impact. So, I mean, yeah, of course music's going to go that way when that's why people are making it. I don't think they're really making it for intrinsic reasons. And as far as the consumer goes, well, the consumer doesn't know and doesn't really care. And to some extent, doesn't have much of a choice. So I said, for example, AI music will be the music of the have-nots. Because it's rubbish. It's all synthetic and it's made of bullshit and it's just a fake, total crap, right? Just like the food is. But you can eat it and you can live on it if you want. And in a world, and I know America's the same, where you've got massive proportions of the population that are overweight and obese, and that's just one health marker, and it's the same in Australia. In Australia, 66% of the population are overweight or obese. 33% are obese, 33% are considered to be overweight. So that means that 66% of the population are overweight, which means the consensus in the culture is to be overweight. And the culture doesn't seem to really do anything. They'll actually complain about their food and everything, and although they don't, they act like it's all a mystery. You know, like seriously, the politicians aren't allowed to lie, and people who manufacture foods aren't allowed to. They're not allowed to lie, and then it's like, well, no, they're not allowed to lie, but they're very good at saying things right in front of you so that they sound like something else. They're very good at deception. They're allowed to deceive. So yeah, of course, it's. I think people are going to lick it up, and whatever the consequence of it seems to never be anyone's fault either. It's like the food thing. Oh, it's all a mystery, you know. It's almost like a kind of consensus ignorance It's just like so ugly. We don't want to look. We don't know how to process it or something. So we just keep going along with it. All while telling this narrative that we're like this beautiful species and the humanity and the love and all of this stuff. Tell me this, if humans, if you believe in evolution, now I'm not a religious person, by the way, but I'll question the evolution theorists as well, because I'm not sure if it's that either. If we're so highly evolved as a species, and I would say general, you don't even have to be religious, attitude is that human beings have dominion over animals. Like, we're better than animals. We control animals. We're smarter than them. We can, So, if that's the case, why is it that we seem to be like the only animal that can't adapt to its environment? And we have to build ourselves all these little squishy little cages and we just can't handle just things as they are. We need all this help and assistance. It's an interesting one, that, I think. Crocodiles have been around for longer than human beings. I think they reckon 750,000 years. They're prehistoric. And in Australia, at one point, when was that? I think it might have been quite late, like the 50s, but you'd have to do a fact checky. They tried to wipe out the population of crocodiles, like to deliberately try to make them extinct. And this is a population of human beings with guns and stuff going around shooting them. You go up to North Queensland now, there's fucking crocodiles everywhere. Didn't kill them. They've been around for 750,000 years. You reckon they know a little thing or two about surviving? You reckon maybe they could even know a bit more than humans, since they've been around for longer? And since we're so smart and we couldn't even kill them, and they're still up there thriving, well, I don't know. Who's smarter? And how does it make humans smart? Because we can just build a bunch of shit that we then throw in the fucking garbage. And we fetishize and, we make people suffer for something that we've assigned value to. So, it's like, why are you making music? If you're making music because you want to get famous or because you want to make money and you're trying to break into the market and you want to do all this fucking language and turn it all into a fucking intro, bro, fucking bullshit, well, I guess then do. And just be the shit musicians that you are, if that's what you have to do. And remember that time goes by, so things don't last forever. What if people started making music for some other reason? I mean, how silly is that, eh? Like, what if you were going to do something because you wanted to make money? Why the fuck would you go into music? You may as well go and sell bloody anything else. Go sell toilet paper. You'll make more money. What if more people started making music, not for fucking money? Or some bullshit like narcissistic fucking self-image, you know. Once again, see this atomization. It's like intrinsic versus extrinsic. Well, you know, music was usually and often was always a social thing. And the music was there to sort of, for the group, it was like participatory. It wasn't like you have the fucking legend that everyone stands around and goes, ooh, you know. That whole thing comes out of modern technological industry, and all that's about is making money, right? Spectacle. It's a spectacle.
You're live on the Estrogen Network with Afternoon Yak.
Man.
You know, this, like I said before, there's just only so much of it you can handle now with this kind of separation of the story of that people tell. Like, oh, Western culture and this culture and that culture versus what it really is and what it really does. And it's funny that, like, the clue is in the name. We live in a consumer culture. Well, what's a culture? Well, a culture is basically when a bunch of people all agree to adopt a certain type of customs and language and way of being. It's also performative. So that means that the identity of the culture is rooted in products and in things. And that perfectly aligns with the whole AI thing. Because AI is all fake, all these products are all dead, they don't mean anything either. You know, so what? It's a fucking motorbike. Who fucking cares? Who fucking cares? Ooh, a motorbike. And then what do? Spend the rest of your life buying products for it and squirting it and pissing stuff down the drain, all these brutal fucking 3M chemicals and shit that are like forever chemicals, you know, stain your liver and they accumulate in your liver. You just pour all that shit down the drain and in the rivers and everyone out on their fucking driveway spraying all this crap around so you can have a fucking motorbike, right? And like, have you ever heard I like motorbikes, by the way, not against them. Sure, you've heard someone say this in your life. I've heard it many times, like older generations that'll say, they don't want to retire because they wouldn't know what to do with themselves. They'd be bored. Translated, that means, just like when I was a kid going to primary school, if somebody doesn't tell me like where to be at what time and when I can go to the toilet And when I'm allowed to have lunch and what to do, then I don't know what to do. If you took all the products away, if you took like all the fucking expensive guitars away that people can't play in their guitar collections, and went, well, there you go, you can have this. You reckon they'd like it? No. Yeah, man, yeah, that's alright, man. They can't play it for shit. They can't fucking play anything. But they'll sit there and say something about your guitar. It's like you can't fucking play. At all. Anything. And I'm not even a fucking guitarist. So what the fuck are you talking about? You're just talking about bullshit products, dead things that you know fucking nothing about. And by the way, folks, you is not you. You is this imaginary person I've just invented that I'm berating. But, you know, the longer you don't say it, and the longer we all have this, oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, oh, that's okay, I'll leave him alone, oh, that's okay, I'll leave him alone, that's okay, everything's okay, don't hurt anyone's feelings, everything's okay. What's going to happen there? It's like the person who wants to sweep everything under the rug all the time. Like, oh, the house is on fire. Oh, it's only the back part of the house. It'll be alright. You're like, fucking what? So people have already shown us that not only are they willing to engage and participate in this utter fantasy, it's probably, it might even be what they want. It's way easier, isn't it? Like having a guitar collection that you can't play any of them, that you can sit in a room and listen to a sick stereo with your friends and all of that, because you got the money from your concreting business or whatever. Well, that's heaps easier. That's easier than like actually learning the guitar. And then fetishize like ordinary musicians, like rock musicians who are just fucking ordinary, who, without the help of the digital stuff, who knows, you know. So, you know, what can you do about it? Because I think it's already past the point where the culture, the people are so reliant on technology for their survival, and they're so reliant on these fantasies, this sort of like, you know, life's like an American fucking movie or something. It's just completely ingrained into, I don't know what's going to happen. There is one thought which in some ways seems to be happening a little bit, which I was sort of doing like 10 years ago, which is the idea of a kind of a counterculture, which starts to go, you know, deliberately go the other way and go, hey, let's go and find a bunch of crap old music equipment, and do it that way and do it the old school way. And supposedly I've heard from like one source or someone said this, that even older cars are becoming, like, it's becoming a bit cool to get old cars and do them up. And isn't it funny? Because, gee, I wonder why. Is it because young people can't afford shit? So they're actually trying to make the most of what they've got? So maybe there's still a bit of hope there, and maybe a kind of viable counterculture will emerge, where live music and all of that has a renaissance, a resurgence, which I kind of am hoping for. Careful what you say there. Maybe it'll just make people sick to the point where they'll realise that, you know, all this extrinsic stuff really has no actual value, and that we can get a lot out of something. We can appreciate something for what it can do, like the guitar here, where, well, I can get tons and tons and hours of like joy and just enjoy playing music on a 25, 30-year-old basher guitar that is in every cupboard in the world, you know. And that is something that you just can't buy. And there's no plug-in and there's no AI thing that's ever going to be able to do that for you. And you can't explain what the difference is. If you have to, then you can't explain it. And maybe that'll start to touch people again. Or it'll be new again. Because these things don't last, remember, as well. They go through fads and things go and come back, and but no, unfortunately I think it's going to be pretty treacherous for a while. And I sort of feel for the younger people, and I love to see those younger people that are like that, with a bit punk and a bit fuck you and fuck your bloody capitalist fucking I've got to have a big house and cars and go on a jet ski and go on holidays all the time. Fuck you. Good on you, young people. Do that. That'll actually create something. That'll probably lead to some kind of music or something of that could lead to intrinsic value instead of more fucking pretend money and bullshit fucking products and things that no one needs. And you probably all know about that one, the famous, like in Holland with tulips. Where tulips became so popular, they got like, they were so expensive. They were like 10 times more expensive than gold or something. And I forget all the reason, the background behind that, because of someone popularised them, or some royal or something. And suddenly this flower that was worth like, nothing is really, really expensive. That all this value was just created out of nowhere. You can look that up to get the real kind of proper story, but and there are foods that were that in later years, like salmon was one, where it became a food that was associated with kind of, I don't know, it was a bit classy, it was a bit, but that used to just be a food of like peasant food. Salmon's everywhere in the rivers. People eating bloody fillets of salmon till they can't handle no more. I want to hear, like, if anyone has any thoughts on this AI thing as well, and just anything that was kind of said there. I think I'm going to leave it there, and I might come back and expand on it at a later date. Give me some ideas, give me some feedback, and we'll keep it going. Thanks for joining us on Afternoon Yak.
Man.